Okay, before we run out of time, something else that is, I know, of concern for you and certainly a concern for a lot of parents. I'll just referencing a CBC story here. I'll read the headline, and it kind of says it all. Halifax area parents struggling to find after-school care for September. Some 1,500 young students on a waiting list for HRCE for their after-school program. And the story talks about testimonials from people who can't go back to work in some cases, who can't go back to school in some cases, and again, women disproportionately impacted by this. I think there's no argument there. So what can we do about this? I mean, HRCE only has so many resources, but what are your recommendations here?
Well, I think that we have to acknowledge we have a problem. I mean, I think, my oldest now are turning 13 this month, and I was in that situation 13 years ago, when they first with childcare and then with after school care. And so this is a problem that's been around for a long time, and we haven't seen movement despite the rapid increase in population that Nova Scotia has seen. And so I think HRCE, frankly, has to get their head out of the sand. I mean, we haven't seen new school construction in HRM since this government came to power, notwithstanding the tens of thousands of new residents that we have. We haven't seen a significant expansion of after school care or before school care. And the child care plan has been a bit of a boondoggle in terms of actually having spaces available. And, like you say, HRC only has so much money, but this is where we need a sort of coherent approach within government, because as you say, it has a big economic impact. If families can't find childcare, then it has real implications for the labor force and for the economy overall. I think, like I say, I think the first step is acknowledging that we have a problem, and we haven't really seen that yet from this government, but we're certainly waiting for it. The second step is taking some serious action to really expand those programs and make sure that kids can be in safe, supportive learning spaces while parents are at work. Our school system looks the same way as it did in the 1950s, when many families had one parent at home and kids could go home for lunch and go home after school and have a snack waiting. And that's not the reality today. And our systems have to start to catch up.
Yeah, it's amazing to me how many when you talk about politics and what actually matters to people, and politics can be quite abstract to a lot of people and almost disconnected. But when it starts impacting your life in the way that the homelessness and affordability and daycare and after school and all of these things seem to be hitting more people and on a broader scale. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's absolutely true. And I think, as the head of a caucus that is predominantly women, and many of whom have school-age kids, we know this. We know this reality. And we bring this into the legislature, and we bring this into our conversations and debates with government every single day, because there's lots of things that, traditionally governments wouldn't think of as an issue, or that people wouldn't think of as something they can advocate for, but they can and they should and they need to. And so I think in an age where people are increasingly sort of turned off from politics, we need to remind people that this is where big decisions are made. So, if people are frustrated because they can't go to work, or the situation in their kids' schools, or, the cost of their rent, those are all things that the government has the ability to impact, and of course, in my estimation, should. And so this is what I have conversations with people on the doorsteps about, every single day, pretty much, or in the coffee shops or walking down the street. Here's what Nova Scotia could look like. Here's the way in which we could all be supported, not just some of us. And let's advocate for it, because it's important, and because I think that that's how Nova Scotians think a government should be. It should work for all of us. And right now, based on the conversation we've had this morning, I think it's pretty clear that it's not working for everybody. Yeah,
it's a hard sales pitch to go to the doors if you're the governing, but for the feds and for a lot of incumbents. Anyway, Claudia, listen, I appreciate your time as always. Thanks so much for doing this, and we will definitely be chatting again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Claudia Chender, NDP leader.